Hello and warm welcome everyone to the Analyst by Vajiram And Ravi. Today we are going to comprehensively discuss 7 articles taken from the Indian Express and the Hindu. This will be done under 2 sections. Section A, wherein we will analyze 2 articles in depth. First of them is about the development of the northeastern states, the challenges therein and the way forward. Second article is on the anti-conversion law, the need to have it, the various issues and the Supreme Court judgments about it. Next, in the simplified section, we will take 5 articles along with the value addition part for your upcoming prelims, so stay tuned. So coming to the first article of the day, which is about the development of the northeastern states. So the background is, PM is to inaugurate Ashtalakshmi Mahotsav 2024 in New Delhi at the Bharat Mandapam. So the target is to inaugurate this festival in reference of 8 northeastern states that we have. Also, there's a news to invest 800 crores to lesser known tourist sites in 6 northeastern states, including the Loktak Lake in Manipur. So let's read more about the northeastern state and the need to develop it at the urgent. Starting it, what we need to know what is the significance of this region, why do we need to develop this region in the first hand. So starting discussing and let's discuss the strategic geopolitical importance of this region. So as we have known over the years, India, Myanmar and Thailand have been discussed and signed an agreement to develop the India-Myanmar-Thailand trilateral highway. So yes, we have been developing this region and trying to develop this path so that we could have a better connectivity to Southeastern Asia and Southeastern Asian nations. Then we have Kaladan multimodal project along with Bangladesh and Myanmar. Of course, in 2014, we adopted Act East policy and we are working in the same direction so that we could generate and have better connectivity, not just in terms of transportation, but also in economic opportunities and cultural integration with these Southeast Asian nations. Second is, this region also has rich biodiversity. When I say rich biodiversity, it has right from alpine meadows to rainforests, and it also has natural resources in the form of flora, fauna. It is one of the hotspot regions of the world. In India, it is one of the 4 hotspots that we have, along with Western Ghats, Himalayas. Then, yes, do remember that we also have natural resources in northeastern region, which we call under the category of oil and natural gas, as well as coal mines. So you have to tell me what are the famous oil and natural gas mines and fields and refineries which you find in northeastern region apart from Assam's mine and refinery. Also, please do write in the comment section which coal mines are famous in northeastern states, including Assam. Then the third point is about the cultural diversity. We have more than 220 ethnic diverse people and communities in this area. They act as ethnic mosaic. We have different languages, culture, traditions, dances, music. For example, there is Assam's traditional dance. Now, you have to tell me what is the name of that traditional art form, traditional dance form that you know, obviously you know, but try to recall it and write it in the comment section. Each of these states have their specific art forms. Then also, we have this area is a huge agricultural and horticultural, has huge agricultural potential. Why? Because this has different topography, this has different terrain, different climates of all these states, which provide is a huge potential, untapped potential, wherein this could generate into a mine where we could generate agricultural production of different crops, be it cash crops, be it horticulture, be it medicinal crops. So it holds huge potential, but for any of these to be materialized, we need in-depth research, we need in-depth and variable effects and efforts on our side. Then we have the point of hydroelectric power generation. This area in itself, out of India's potential, this holds around 40% of India's hydroelectric potential only in Northeast. That surmounts to around 58,000 megawatt electricity generation from hydroelectric energy. So this has to be kept in mind. Another point is about the tourism potential. So as we are becoming more conscious of the climate change, people are getting more aware and interested in environmental tourism and ecotourism. So this area again has great diversity and potential to serve it as a region, as a multi-diverse region with these 8 states, with their different 8 landscapes, to give it as a region wherein public could go and have their tourism areas to be explored. Then we have human resource development. If we have to note one thing is the literacy part and the literacy percentage of this area is around 78.5%, much higher than India's average, reaching around 80%. So this tells that this region has the demographic dividend potential. But since educated demography is there, this doesn't suddenly translates to demographic dividend. What we need is skills. What we need is after literacy, then transfers to education as well, to employment as well, and gradually increasing and learning experiences on the job. That is increasing employability. That is also important so that we can convert this demography into demographic potential and dividend eventually. This is all about the significance of the northeastern region. Now we see what are the challenges that are grappling this region. Just to give you an idea, these are all 8 states. Mizoram, here it's the Nagaland, then there is Tripura, Sikkim is here, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, then Manipur, Meghalaya is here, Manipur is here, this is Tripura, this is Mizoram, then you have Nagaland and Manipur also. So these are 8 states, this is Sikkim. Now coming down to major challenges, why this region remains untapped despite the various potential and the resources that it has. So first of all, persistence, this region suffers from persistent and prolonged insurgency and ethnic conflicts. So there are background, there is a historical journey of these conflicts. Some are related to cross-border supply of weapons, cross-border supply of money also, destabilizing the regions. Also there is a reason of drug trafficking. There are cases of that also. Of course, there is an angle of law and order. There is disturbed governance in these regions. So there is a constant and prolonged insurgency in all of these areas. For example, you recently saw in Arunachal Pradesh, you recently saw in Manipur, the conflict between Kukis and Maitis. That is an ongoing war, ongoing newspaper issue every day that we are, probably every day that we are reading. Then coming down to agricultural challenges. Like I said, it has a very unique and also a tough terrain. It needs, now the area and the productivity and the fertility of the region is not alone that we need. We also need support for the farmers. If they are small and marginal farmers, they need to be given some sort of capital input in terms of fertilizers, probably seeds, irrigation, energy, and the support and incentives and government policies from the state side. Then also, if let's just to give you one example, Sikkim has taken to organic farming, and it has become the first Indian state to take to organic farming at the state level. However, if you see, this has seen a very limited success. Why? Because it also needs branding, it needs marketing, it needs export and import markets that they have been not able to generate. And then there is an increased competition from chemical fertilizers, which are more affordable and easily available in the market chains. Then the point is about China's growing influence. Like I said, there are increasing instances and alleged cross-border transfer and supply of money, of weapons and infiltrators. Of course, various border disputes we have seen in the recent time. Example, in Arunachal Pradesh, we saw Tawang. Then before that, we also saw Doklam region conflict. Fourth point is about the climate change and environmental degradation. So since this region is an epitome of climate change preservation, and also, like I said, it's one of the hotspots that India has. This needs to be preserved. The diversity of flora, fauna, the diversity of vegetation that it has, apart from other diversities, this needs to be preserved through various ways, of course. But that increase the vulnerability and fragility of this region towards many other aspects. For example, recently we saw, or this is almost has become a regular and annual phenomenon of Assam floods. Then there are cases of landslides. So these disasters in form of landslides, floods, or others disturbs the livelihood of these people, also disturbs the diversity, flora, fauna of the region, and takes the development years back from where it has started. So we need to ensure that the certain steps are taken not just by the state government but also by the central government. These guidelines have to be followed by the state government. Then disaster NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority, has to ensure that the prevention measures are ensured and timely warning is given in case of these disasters. Then infrastructure deficit and connectivity issues. Like I said, this region has potential. This region has immense need for infrastructure development as well. Not just in terms of connectivity, for example, airports, roads, highways, railways, or even waterways, but also in terms of education and the various institutions that education can have. Again, also health initiatives and health mechanisms, employment opportunities, all of this is counted under economic as well as social infrastructure. Then like I said, connectivity issues there. One of the connectivity issue is related to the Siliguri corridor, which is also related to our security aspect of India, which was in news again some time back. Then another point is about economic underdevelopment and unemployment. The people in this area even study, they have to look out for jobs in the regions outside of their home. Why? Because generally you have seen that these people out-migrate from these regions, or if they undergo any employment, that is not as per their education. If they are, let's see, if this region has around 80% of literacy. But if jobs are not available, they will eventually out-migrate, probably to other states of India or probably outside of India. If it's the case of outside of India, then that becomes a case of brain drain. Despite investing such resources in human capital, we are easily letting go our human capital to other countries. Then this is a question to think about, and we need to take steps in this direction. Then and if they are out-migrating to these other states, sometimes they may face problem in settling or probably assimilating in these areas. And it can happen both ways. They may not accept or assimilate in the society. They can have skirmishes, they can have conflict. So the better way is, instead of, or probably apart from the brotherhood and fraternity that we need to assume among all Indians, we need to invest resources in generating more jobs in these areas itself. And it has the potential not just in agriculture, but in IT services, in industries also. Overall, even after the development of northeastern industries, this has not seen much more success. This needs to be implemented and probably supplemented with other efforts. After taking the probable monitoring and analyzing the reasons which are not working in the favor, to ensure that employment generates as per the capacity of the region and the population. Then there is a case of drug trafficking and cross-border crime. Like I said, India is located between Golden Crescent and Golden Triangle. Especially in this context of northeastern state, the case of Golden Triangle is relevant. If you see in this diagram on the right hand side, there is this is known as the Golden Triangle. It is basically the three countries that primarily accounts for major production of drugs, and the various cartels operate in these countries, and India lies in the way of this. So this leads to cross-border drug trafficking. This not only disturbs the social relations, but also leads to conflict, not just between people and societies, but also between probably state institutions like police, armies, and the communities itself. It also increases the cross-border crime. Sometimes these borders are not as clearly defined, they are porous, so they can infiltrate, people can infiltrate from other communities and other nationalities also, especially from Myanmar border, this happens a lot. In case of political instability and governance issue, you have seen of recent skirmishes in Manipur, constant change of governments in these states. Example could be taken of Manipur. The people are not satisfied or some communities are facing infighting. That's why the governance is not able to take its proper role, address people common issues, be it of health, education, skills, skill development, and employment. So these are major challenges. Apart from it, there are other challenges as well. But for now, you can understand that these are the challenges that the northeastern part of India suffers from. So before we go ahead, we have to know how can we reduce and probably target and address all of these challenges. What are the ways that needs to ensure to again confirm the development of northeastern states. First of all, Northeast to Southwest Cultural Exchange Program. What do we mean by this statement? First of all, Northeast is the northeastern states of India. Southwest is nothing but diagonally opposite part of India. Just so to say, it basically means the cultural exchanges from northeastern state, the 8 states that we have in the northeastern part of the India, to various other states of the country. Now, cultural exchange would mean in terms of probably business, conventions, or it could be cultural, or it could be educational, etc. Just to give you an idea. This would ensure that there is closer integration of the people of these places and they develop overall idea of India, one India, and they work together for the development of whole country. And second, the idea of Digital Silk Road Initiative. So we have to ensure that this part of the country, northeastern state, also get involved into the development of digital initiative, Digital India, by probably we have to develop and generate optical fiber connectivity in this region. So that not just in terms of connectivity from jobs perspective, but also the people closer relations in terms of culture, social terms, as well as economic, like I said. Then the third point could be Transnational Indigenous Knowledge University. We can develop this kind of university in northeastern India, and wherein 8 states have a role and chairs of them, and then they could develop courses wherein Southeastern Asian nations are also part. They could again cross-exchange their various ideas in terms of best case studies or from different sectors. This would help in develop both of these regions, both of various countries involved in this, and this would also generate jobs. Then we have Northeastern Olympic Training Center. We have seen examples like Mary Kom. Then we have example of Beena Das. Just to give you 2 examples, and there are many others. So this area has again huge potential when it comes to sports. The people coming from it, and they also have aspiration. The people in these regions are hardworking and they should be given adequate opportunities to develop their career path. If they are good in sports, then why not? Though we should develop Olympic Training Center. So we should give them various facilities right from initial input training to the championships that they are participating in. Then we have floating markets tourism circuit. What are floating markets? This concept is basically operating in Southeast Asian nations, wherein they use various rivers to probably therein they generate these markets and they act as tourism points where people come in, spend their time in, and also generate jobs by investing and probably renting out all of these services. So this tourism circuit could be developed. Northeastern states has rivers such as Brahmaputra, and other many rivers. We have over the years developed very waterways. Now the need is to turn those waterways not just as connectivity points, but also from the angle of tourism. Then there is Bamboo Revolution Program. Northeastern India has again very adequate and probably wholesome quantity of probably production of bamboo trees and bamboo vegetation. This bamboo is very unique in terms of it could generate and it could produce products from textile sector, again of daily use sectors, and also as a biofuel. This could also be one way of turning to the way we live, or towards it could be a step towards sustainable way of living. This could be a way to support the mission, the mission life that PM Modi has upheld. Then there could be research center related to medicines. We could have Himalayan Medicinal Research Center or the corridor, which will be undertaken under Ministry of Ayush. Why? Because Himalayan as the overall region has these medicinal aromatic plants, which has the capacity and its specific quality about to be treated and to be taken under the Ayurveda, or probably we need to have more research under this area to have more names and to be used as natural supplements. Then there is a point of autonomous vehicle testing ground. Since this area has different terrains, different difficult terrains, so this could be an opportunity for global companies, global autonomous companies, to come and try and test their cars in these regions. If they are capable of surviving and sustaining in this terrain, this would be of high quality, because this is one of the toughest terrains that we have. So these are the few steps that we can take to develop this region. Let's say let's hope that in future we are able to turn and develop these regions to the development of overall India. Then there are some of the efforts has already been taken by the government. Let's see this Act East policy, which was undertaken in 2014. Now this has been termed as Act for Northeast and Act First for Northeast. So this is the policy wherein this puts emphasis on acting on it urgently. So there is different dedicated mechanism that have been developed. There is again, there is one council which overlooks and oversees overall development, and there is Ministry of Development of Northeast region. So there is this ministry that also has been allocated just to look after the specific development of this region. Then where we have PM Divine Scheme. What is this scheme? This is nothing but a subpart, or probably an illustration or demonstration of PM Gati Shakti scheme that we saw. Prime Minister released it and launched it. The aim was to develop social and economic infrastructure across India. So this scheme is nothing but a part and subpart of PM Gati Shakti, but this will cater to northeastern region. It will develop this economic infrastructure, the connectivity will apart, and education and healthcare infrastructure and other infrastructure that serves the social development of the region as well. Then we have various peace initiatives as well. In past few years, we have seen that the AFSPA, the law of AFSPA, Armed Forces Special Provisions for Northeast, have seen that they have relinquished and have been removed from large part of the Northeast. Secondly, there have been various agreements that have been signed by the Government of India and in particular Ministry of Home Affairs, such as Bodoland Agreement. Then we also saw Bruriang Agreement. Then we also saw Assam Meghalaya Boundary Agreement. Another we had Karbi Anglong Agreement. These are few of the agreements that we have seen. There were others also. The overall aim was to ensure that these border disputes, which have been hanging for many years and many decades now, gets resolved, and the attention goes not away from these disputes to the development of the demography, to the development initiative towards the common people. Then we also have Niti Forum for Northeast. Why? Yes, we have Nidhi Forum for overall India, but the purpose is to specifically cater to these reasons because they need urgent attention. Then we have infrastructure. Like I said, we would develop infrastructure from roadways, right from roadways, airports, airways, also national waterways. And apart from this, we will also get into the fields of social infrastructure, like I have said, which is the component under PM Divine, which is a sub-scheme under PM Gati Shakti. So these are the government efforts that we have taken. Now, one of the prelims question for you, which relates to Northeastern region is, which schedule of the Constitution of India contains special provisions for the administration and control of scheduled areas in several states? Which was asked in 2008. Please attend this. And let's move to the main question of the day. Discuss the challenges and strategic initiatives needed to enhance socio-economic development and connectivity in Northeast India. So do write this question. It will be helpful for you. Next, we'll move to the next article of the day for the in-depth analysis. This relates to the case and the curious case of religious conversion. The background is that recently the Rajasthan government has framed an anti-conversion law. This anti-conversion law or the anti-conversion laws are already in place in 8 of the 29 states that we have. Apart from it, there is an alleged increasing instances of this religious conversion. Let's see what lies behind all of this, what we see at the surface. So first to start this topic, we have to discuss what are and what constitutes anti-conversion laws. These are nothing but state statutes which target and which have been enacted to regulate religious conversion. So the aspect and the aim and the purpose of it is just to regulate a religious conversion. So the aim and the purpose is nothing wrong with it, wherein when we go ahead and implement it, then we see some sort of problems. We'll go ahead and see what are those problems. Now to tell you that the 8 states that already have these anti-conversion laws in place are Arunachal Pradesh, we have Madhya Pradesh, we have Odisha, we also have Chhattisgarh. Then you can see we have Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat, Jharkhand and Uttarakhand. So these are 8 states. There could be question in your prelims where they can ask. And now if this law gets passed in Rajasthan, we'll have 9 states. So have an overall idea, just read through it multiple times and it will help you. Now, when these laws are made, these provisions could vary from state to state as per the situations and circumstances and the history over there. Then these could have criminal penalties, they could also have civil penalties, both. Nothing is restricted, nothing is particularly defined. It varies from state to state. Then let's talk about Article 25 and 26 and the fundamental right to freedom of religion, which we actually cater under right from Article 25 to 28. But in this aspect and in this context, we'll remain till Article 25 and 26. So the Article 25 says everyone and each person in the country has the right to practice, profess and propagate their religion. And Article 26 is about the managing the affairs of their religion. So these 2 articles constitutes and probably says that everyone has the freedom to propagate their religions. But however, you have to remain and keep conscious of the fact that this is not any one-sided freedom. You also have certain duties. There are certain restrictions also, which are known and comes under the clause of reasonable restrictions. There are 3 cases and clauses under it: public order, morality, as well as health. So if anything goes against the public order, when we are professing, propagating and practicing our religion, then if it leads or goes against public order, if it goes against morality, and or even if it goes against the other person's right to practice their own religion, or if it goes against the public health or the health as such, then that will be out of the purview of the freedom of religion, and then that can be held unconstitutional also. So this is just the basic idea about this. Let's move ahead and see what is the need for anti-conversions laws. So we have, in fact, many states have framed it from time to time. Some have implemented it. Like I said, at present, 8 states have implemented it. But over the years, many states have thought about this concept. Then first of all, what is the need? We need to protect the cultural and social cohesion. If there are ways where fraudulent ways of converting from one religion to another are there could never be the probably maintenance of cultural and social cohesion, brotherhood, the idea of fraternity that we talk about. So we have to be conscious that the ultimate purpose of any religion is about empowerment. It's about liberation from all these menial talks, and probably about empowerment of the society overall, not just one individual. So we have to keep that in mind. But when religion's conversion takes place to serving other purposes and not its original, then it becomes questionable. Second thing is about preservation of traditions and beliefs. In India, we have indigenous religions and some of the foreign religions as well. As we have read in GS1 under history, the diversity of India, we have indigenous religions like Jainism, Hinduism and Buddhism, also Sikhism. And then we have foreign religions like Islam, then we have Baha'i faith, then we have Jews as well. So all of these religions, be it indigenous or foreign, they have a right to exist, they have a right to practice and propagate also, but within the constitutional limits and the constitutional rights. Then, and both of these religions aim and seek to develop and conserve their traditions and beliefs that they have maintained over centuries and over decades. But if one religion is not conscious of other religions' beliefs and faiths and norms, then it becomes problem, and it also becomes tough for the state to take sides. So it's the ultimate duty of the people, we the people of India, to take care of this aspect. We have to be conscious of other people's feelings towards their religion and not to go against and try not to work against it. Then we have to, of course, the third need that we have is prevention of coercion and deception. Like I said, if religious conversion is taking place by the means of inducement, that could be at any level. It could be economical, it could be social, it could be political, it could be personal. And or if any fraudulent ways and means are again used to convert people, if they are incited against their own religion by demeaning their own religion and probably professing the other religion as something supreme, so then this religious conversion itself become questionable, because the purpose there is not to convert to that religion to probably learn about it, but to escape from the one out of their misinformation and disinformation. So we have to keep in mind that this never happens. If that happens, like Supreme Court had 4 days back have said, if you're converting and if people are converting for the benefit of reservations or quotas, then it is unconstitutional. Just 4 days back, if you can see, and the Supreme Court judgment. Then there is an instance of fraudulent marriages also. By various regional names and in different languages, this has been alleged to have been committed by different religions. So we have to ensure that marriage as a sacred institution do not get indignified probably by these claims. So the purpose of any sacred marriage is to be respectable and respectful towards the other party also, or towards your partner. So that has to be ensured. The essence of the marriage has to be ensured. Then we have judicial recognition. Over the years and decades, Supreme Court has come out with various judgments where it has upheld somewhere the instances of alleged religious conversion, and in other cases it has pointed out the various flaws that were there in the process of this conversion. So let's see and have a look on all of these judgments. So before we move to all of these judgments, let's see what are the controversies, some of these controversies. So like I said, some sections allege and claim that there is a violation of secularism and religious freedom. First of all, you have to understand this religion freedom is not absolute. It is, like I said, it is with reasonable restrictions. Your right cannot hamper anybody else's rights. With rights, you also there also come along certain duties. So you have to be conscious of that as well. Secularism is based out of the feeling of fraternity and dignity and brotherhood towards all. So secularism is only maintained when all the religions are respected and be given equal respectable space in the society. And the onus falls not just on the state but also on the people and the community and the societies. Then there's a case of marriage controversy, like I've already said. These are claims. Sometimes these are upheld, sometimes they are denied by the court. Varies from case to case as per the individual societies and circumstances. Then we have criminal cases. Some of these sections say that what is the need of these anti-conversion laws when we already have criminal case laws or probably criminal proceeding procedures. Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, we already have, there are provisions under it. We can take to those provisions and cater to the cases where we think there are violation of these conversion laws or probably violation of a proper and conscious conversion. Then, but the thing is, this is an indirect way of dealing with these matters. We need dedicated laws. If probably over the years there has been many cases, instances and Supreme Court judgments, that we need a dedicated mechanism in the form of law to deal with such instances. Then there is an argument of misuse by various parties. So yes, this could never be defined. There are always some sections taking to misuse any of the legal laws or the norms that are present, but that could not be the argument of not framing one and dealing with the genuine and real cases. So yes, we have to ensure that the provisions within the laws remains constitutional, remains again accountable, they are transparent and reasonable hearing grounds are given to the other party also. So these are some of the controversies. Now move ahead and see what are the Supreme Court judgments over the years. First of all, we just go back to the judgment in 2007, which is known by the name of Puttaswamy case, and which is related to right to privacy. Right to privacy has many elements. It also has freedom of choice. Freedom and autonomy of individual was prioritized by Supreme Court in this judgment. So when any autonomy of the individual comes, it also caters to the various aspects and concerns and matters of life. One of the matters is marriage. One of the matters is the right to practice the religion or the freedom of religion. So yes, this is there. Then second case is Lata Singh versus State of Uttar Pradesh. There Supreme Court upheld that everybody and anybody has the right to marry as per or irrespective of, as per their choice or irrespective of religious difference, irrespective of caste difference, irrespective of the class difference. So, and they also upheld the freedom of choice of any individual to live the life that they want. Of course, in this case, when we are talking about two individuals, they are above and they are within the marriageable ages. Then there is third case, Sarla Mudgal versus Union of India, where Supreme Court took a stand against the illegal conversions that were going on in the name of conversions, and that is said that if marriages are done and these conversions are done so that the marriage could take place and without actual belief and faith in that religion, without practicing it in the daily life, then if it's solely for the purpose of marriage, then that religious conversion and the marriage both stands void. So that's why this is where the Supreme Court made it clear that there are reasonable restrictions and you cannot flout that in the name of conversions. Then the fourth Supreme Court case was S. Pushp Pabai versus C.T. Selvaraj. This was again coercion or misrepresentation. So they brought in the angle of coercion. They specifically termed and documented the word coercion or misrepresentation. This could be any inducement, this could be any fraudulent way, this could be demeaning one religion, this could be taking to various economic ways, so just to convert the people from one community to another, just to increase the number, and not because you are able to convince that person out of the actual belief or faith. So this essentially violates the very freedom of religion. when the parties, they were saying that any sort of religious conversion is under freedom of religion, the Supreme Court came up and it said, no, it actually violates the very freedom of religion because it is against the conscience, it is against the morality, it is also against the public order, because when these revelations are made, this leads to conflicts in the society. Then recently, 4 days back, 3-4 days back, Supreme Court came out with another judgment and it said religious conversion to avail reservations or quota is a fraud on constitution. So please be conscious of all of these judgments. This was in news. This is very much in news. This has been in news for years now. So you have to know this. This is a governance issue. This is also related to your fundamental rights, specifically fundamental right and freedom of religion. So this was all with regards to this anti-conversion laws. Now there's a question, especially for you, you can practice it for your mains practice. Then why are anti-conversion laws needed? Highlight the various issues against anti-conversion law in India and analyze the significant Supreme Court judgments on the same. Please do practice this question. Now move on to the simplified sections of the day, and the very first article in it deals with India continues to top road accidents, fatalities globally with over 1.72 lakh deaths in 2023. So this was a remark by Gadkari ji, who is no one but our Minister of Road Transport and Highways. So this relates to infrastructure and roads right from GS3. So first of all, to give you the background of it, he was discussing various statistics and data related to fatalities that India has seen in this road accidents and crashes. He was discussing various reasons why fatalities have taken place. He was also discussing and comparing it with over the years, how it has decreased or if it has increased overall. So let's just read some of these lines. He said that over 4.8 lakh road accidents has taken place in the last year, out of which over 1.72 lakh people have faced fatalities. Now, when the data was compared with 2002, we have saw the crashes have increased by 4.2% and the fatalities increased by around around 2.6%. So this was just an overall broad idea to give you. Now, they also claimed that around 10,000 deaths and the deceased are minors below the age of 18. That tells the gravity and the seriousness of the issue at the hand. In the areas we saw, now I'll give you certain deaths and the reasons and the areas where they took place. So 35,000 accidents were actually happened outside schools and colleges. Then another 35,000 accidents, out of which 10,000 turned into fatalities and eventual death. Then we have 35,000 deaths of pedestrian. Pedestrian as a whole, in mostly cases you would find that they have no fault of their own. But when these huge and gravity-full accidents happen, they face collateral damage and they lose their crucial life. Then 54,000 deaths happened because they were not wearing helmets. So I would request you, everyone, please, when you're driving on any road, please take minimum basic safety equipments with you. Please be cautious, drive slowly, and please value your life as well. Then 16,000 deaths have occurred because of not wearing seat belts. That is again one of the mistakes that people do. It's not about the fine, it's not about the regulations that we are putting it for other people. It's for your own safety, because many other people are driving there also. They also have their emergencies, they also have their different contingency. If you have to reach somewhere quickly, they also probably have their genuine reasons to reach there. But like I said, life is the most important thing, please value it. Then another 12,000 deaths we have seen because of overloaded vehicles. There could be different reasons. Please remember that. So we have seen deaths because of not wearing helmets. Then we have seen deaths because of not wearing seat belts. Another, people, they were driving without a valid license. Around 34,000 crashes, not the deaths, but 34,000 crashes involved such a case. So this was some of the statistics, and to give you an idea about the proportion of the humongousness of the seriousness of this problem that we are facing. Then In India, or if we compare it at the global level, India has the highest number of road accidents, deaths in the world. And even in India, Uttar Pradesh, that is UP, has the highest share. In Uttar Pradesh, 44,000 road accidents happened, and out of which more than half, that is around 23,650 deaths occurred. So remember, out of global, it is India that has the highest share, and in India, it is the UP which holds the highest people that lost their lives and also the accidents. Then there are many reasons for accidents. Some of them I've already mentioned. Then the other and the biggest is human behavior. When I say human behavior, it reflects in the tendency of people to not to follow the general norms, the general safety laws and rules. It is for their own benefit. Now, one of the other reasons, yes, it is one of the reasons is human behavior, which is the biggest one. But another reasons is, which we see is on the roads, that the roads are not properly organized, not properly maintained, and we saw a large number of instances of potholes on the roads at many places. There are underpasses, there is inadequate number of underpasses when people are crossing across the road on the zebra crossing, but probably on the wrong time. And foot over bridges are also not adequate. So these are few of the reasons that you will see behind the increasing number of road accidents and deaths that we are seeing in India. Then the minister said that he has identified the black spots in the country, and he would be working as fast as possible to cover all those and to reduce this number. But the entire responsibility could not be of the centers or the unions or the state itself. Why? Because national highways come under the center. Then there are case of state highways, then there are district roads, rural roads, and all of these come under the jurisdiction of state. So states have to take on the responsibility, because this number of deaths is not a small number, and it's a loss to the state, where huge number of people are dying by no serious fault, but probably lack of regulation or probably lack of construction of these good roads. There are many state highways and district roads, and it also concerns the state government. So yes, this is a concurrent issue. This has to be concurrent concern, where both the state and the center have to share the responsibility. Then the minister said that the instructions have been given to companies to improve automobile engineering, so that the flaws and the design issues that we face from the automobile section could be addressed. And apart from it, there is awareness program that is also being run in schools, so that the right information is given to the students right from the early age, and they could become responsible and dutiful citizens. Then road crash severity. This is nothing. This actually measures the fatalities per 100 crashes. This, however, have marginally decreased. So yes, this has decreased, but only marginally, and which was 36, which is 36 in 2023. But last year, in 2022, probably 1 year lesser, or 1 year before the report came, it was 36.5. Overspeeding is the major cause of accidents, where 68.1%, around 70% of the people died because of the overspeeding. So like I said, I'm again repeating, please do not drive at the speed which is not handleable, and just avoid driving rashly. Then some things and some pointers to be added to your prelims knowledge. There are measures that have been taken in India to reduce all of these accidents. Please remember that we have taken and adopted National Road Safety Policy in 2010, under which we have Road Safety Information Database. So we maintain a database. We also have periodical review of these, because year by year these things and the places and the roads distribution, their maintenance keeps changing. The population keeps changing. So road design standards and vehicle safety standards. So both standards, not just the road design, but also vehicle safety standards. These are updated by different agencies, probably this by the automobile sector and this by the state and center. So there needs to be a periodical review which is undertaken, and which is one of the clause and the provision under National Road Safety Policy 2010. Then there is also National Road Safety Council. This is the main body and the main authority that is responsible to oversee all of these other provisions. Then we also have district road safety committees to overlook all of these things, actually transfer and translate at the district level. We have, so that they could come up with emergency medical plan. Then there could be district road safety plan as well. Then we have Motor Vehicles Amendment Act. They have set up National Road Safety Board, which advises the government on traffic management. It has also the provision of good Samaritans. Let's see, if you're going somewhere, if you see some mishap has happened at a point and you are so eager to help the person, but if you somehow come to know that there are so much legal complications attached to it, and you would have to waste a lot and probably have to give a lot of time after you take that person to the hospital, and there are a lot of legal procedure involved, you may think twice before helping that person. But as a human, as a conscious human being, you would want to help that person. So to make that process easier, so that people do not think twice about it, the government has brought in the aspect of Good Samaritan, wherein no probably legal aspect will be imposed on that person, just beyond the normal questioning. Apart from it, there will be no burden on the people who wants to help, and who everyone should be helping those kind of people and who have met these accidents. Then there is crash tests. There are also need to set up crash barriers also, which are wherein there is a feature of installing of these kind of crash barriers as well. Then rectification of identified black spots. Black spots many times lead to these accidents, horrendous accidents sometimes, and increase the number of deaths that we see as fatalities under this case. So we have to urgently address and maintain and probably build up all of these black spots. So at least this concern is addressed and not result in increasing number of deaths. Then another something additional information to be given for you to help you in your prelims, upcoming prelims. Some global initiatives for road safety are also there. First is Brasilia Declaration on Road Safety. Why this is important? Because India is a member of this. India has already agreed, not a member, but to say that India is a signatory to this. So India has obligations to follow it, not a legal obligations, but yes, a responsibility. Then Sustainable Development Goal 3.6 specifically targets to reduce half of these deaths, half of these road accidents and fatalities by 2030. Similar goal is already under and proclaimed by United Nations General Assembly, and they have proclaimed 2021 to 2030 as the decade of action for road safety. So this is the concern and this is the topic that is in our attention. Please give and read this topic wisely. Now let's see the second topic under the simplified section, which reads study. There has been a study and which has found that daytime charging of EVs may cut carbon emissions by 10%. Now, why the day charging and not the night charging? So first thing is, many renewable sources of electricity generation, that could be wind or solar energy or some others as well, they are more active during day and some of them are totally inactive during night, for example, solar energy. So if we take and generate electricity using these renewable resources, and this electricity, this generated electricity, renewable electricity is itself used to charge the infrastructure and the charging batteries of these electric vehicles, then somehow the emissions that are still going in the production of electrical or probably electricity by probably using coal as a fossil fuel to generate electricity, and then that electricity is being used to charge this electric vehicle. So that leads to more emissions. And if we switch to electricity generation using these renewable resources, that generation or that amount of greenhouse emissions get reduced. So this is the overall gist of this article. Now let's read to give you more information. A new study by New Delhi Center for Social and Economic Progress has conducted this study, and what it has found, like I said, renewables like solar and wind contribute a significant proportion of power generation, and this could avoid an additional 10% of carbon dioxide emissions. Now this translates, what does it lead to, and what exact amount of carbon emissions, which amounts to 10%, what does it amounts to? So it amounts, if we talk in terms of e-scooters or two-wheel vehicles, then it would lead to saving of over 11,000 tons of carbon dioxide in a year. And when we go in terms of electric sedans, then we have more than 8,000 tons of CO2 that will get reduced, because we will take to generating electricity by renewable sources. So this is some data to probably substantiate what the study says. Now vehicles comes mainly from the embedded emissions. So in the section, or when we are producing electric vehicles, or probably when we are operating them, there are two arena where this generation of emissions, greenhouse gases could occur. First is the manufacturing process, where the manufacturing of vehicle is taking place, and second is the electricity generation using coal, and when that electricity is used to charge electric vehicle. So that is the second aspect wherein this report helps us. Second, while greater, now in longer term, yes, we are working on switching from non-renewable or fossil-based electricity generation to renewable electricity generation. But this could not be a matter of 1 year or 2 years. We are constantly working on it, but these things, to achieve the economies of scale, take some time, technology, funds, as well as cooperation. But in the immediate section, what we can do, we can probably take to day charging. And if that happens, then lot of these greenhouse gas emissions gets reduced. So this was the overall article. Now again, in the prelims booster section, I will discuss the status of e-mobility in India, about the electric vehicle sector. EV sales growth. To give you an idea, in terms of EV registration, we saw around 330,000 registrations in India, which was 168% increased, which saw the increment of 168% from 2020. And this majorly happened under 2 and 3 wheelers. While if we saw and talk about the sedans, the electric sedans, that is actually less than 2%. But if we talk about 2 wheelers and 3 wheelers, they constitute the maximum percentage of the registered vehicles that we have in India. 2 wheelers account 48%, while 3 wheelers account for another 47%. Then there are factors driving EV adoption. So people are becoming more environmental conscious. Also, there is an emergent need to take to these routes if we want to live and sustain over the long time. Also, rising oil prices. The monopoly of various countries, then probably the increasing needs of India, because it being a developing country, and again it dependent on imports. So these two primary concerns are there that is driving EV adoption. Geographical distribution, if we talk about the state-wise and to have certain statistics on this aspect, Uttar Pradesh leads in EV registration. So around 20% of the share goes to Uttar Pradesh. Two-wheelers, in the segment of two-wheelers, you would see states like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Telangana and Maharashtra. While in three-wheelers, again Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Assam and Delhi are the leaders. So this is overall idea of this sector. Now I will say what is the current status, again to give you few additional pointers here. EV growth projection by 2027, we have an idea that we would reach 40% of the overall and all the numbers of vehicles that are generated and that are used in India. So around 39 exact to be, or 39 to 40% by 2027. Then we have, at the moment, we have limited charging infrastructure, only less than 2,000 stations, to be specific, 1,742 charging stations, but that is not enough. Under a scheme that we have adopted for EV success and adoption, we target to develop around 70,000 charging stations, but we have a projection of generating and setting up these 1 lakh charging stations by 2027. Then investment and employment. EV industry in 2021 saw the investment of $6 billion, which aims, or probably which is tended to grow to $20 billion by 2030. So 2021 and 2030. 2030. It is about 6 billion USD, and here it will go to about 20 billion USD. Alright, so this is the projected target that we have, and we have the potential, if we develop this sector well, by 2030 we will develop around 6 crore jobs, wherein 1 crore will be direct jobs and another 5 crores will be indirect jobs. So this is the overall idea or status of e-sector or e-vehicle sector in India. There are revised guidelines also. So not to say that we just have made policy, government had also come out with guidelines to incentivize the sectors, the manufacturers and also the people to buy these and to take to this e-vehicle route. First of all, there are guidelines to develop these charging stations in public offices. That could be airports, there could be highways, there could be waterways as well, there could be office buildings, educational institutions, etc. Then they have recommended to take to EV charging during day for the same reason like I have mentioned, between 9 AM to 4 PM by offering lower tariffs. Because you have to incentivize in the initial phase when public understand the reason and when the entire information is disseminated, people will take to renewable charging rather than fossil based charging. Then urban areas, we need to develop one station at least per 1 kilometer, one charging station, so that people, if for example we have all these petrol stations, why they are there? So that the fuel could be refueled. Now similarly, if charging is not there, we will not be able to operate the vehicle. So in urban areas, we have to develop, we have to have the density of one charging station per 1 kilometer square, and probably on highways every 20 kilometers. And this target has to be ensured by 2030. Then again, we have PM e-drive scheme. Under it, we have set a target of generating around 74,000 charging stations or chargers by 2030. Then there is revenue sharing arrangements. Now, this arrangement has been settled or advised to be taken place between the private operators and the government entities, and this would operate for 10 years. This will be based on energy-based consumption. So these are few of the guidelines that the government has come out and has been advised to follow. This was regarding this topic. Now moving on to the next topic of the day. Lone Barnawapara tiger captured after entering town. This is a case of man-animal conflict because tiger, and this was a lone tiger in this tiger reserve. He went probably out of the buffer area of the tiger reserve and went into the community sections or the local residential areas. Now it has been moved to new reserve. So let's read more about this. The lone tiger that came to Chhattisgarh, this reserve or tiger reserve is located in Chhattisgarh. We'll talk more about the location of and the specific features of this tiger reserve as we go ahead. For now, you can understand that in March, this was relocated to the newly notified Guru Ghasidas Tamor Pingla Tiger Reserve. There has been a case of possible human-man conflict. Like I said, this tiger went out of the buffer zone and probably entered into the residential areas. So as a next step, this specialized rescue team was called on, which involved wildlife experts, veterinary officers, and frontline forest personnel. They assembled, they utilized and took to using drones, air drones, thermal drones, and also there was a collar on this neck of this tiger, a radio collar. There was, now this has been distributed and kept on the neck of every tiger in India. This has become a mandatory provision to track the movement of this tiger and for their safety. So this was also fitted to enable continuous tracking in the new environment. So all of these processes made sure that the tiger was captured and eventually sent to this another tiger reserve. Now pointers about this Barnawapara Wildlife Sanctuary. Like I said, it is in Chhattisgarh, specifically in Raipur district. This has rivers Balmedhi, Jong, Mahanadi that flows through the tiger reserve itself. Especially river Balamdehi forms the western boundary and on the northeastern boundary. So western boundary is this and northeastern boundary is here. It is the Jonk river and this could be your Balamdehi river, and this is somewhere your tiger reserve. Flora wise, we saw vegetation of teak, sal and mixed forest. Fauna, we can see different species: cheetal, sambar, nilgai, wild boar, sloth bear and wild dog. These are few of the provisions for few of the specifics about this wildlife sanctuary. Now let's tell you more on the other sanctuary where this tiger has been relocated. So about Guru Ghasidas Tamor Pingla Tiger Reserve, it is again in Chhattisgarh. It borders Madhya Pradesh and Jharkhand. It is the third largest tiger reserve in India. So first largest tiger reserve is Srisailam and Nagarjuna Tiger Reserve. Can you tell me in the comment section which is the second largest tiger reserve in India? Third, I have already told you, the one that we are discussing. Then it is connected to this Guru Ghasidas Tiger Reserve is connected to Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve in the west, and in the east there is Palamau Tiger Reserve. These again, both of these are very important tiger reserves. Please read some unique features of these two, Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve and Palamau Tiger Reserve. Then this Guru Ghasidas Tiger Reserve is located in Chota Nagpur Plateau. So you have to know the terrain and the topography of this reserve apart from its specifics. Rivers wise, you see the origin of Hasdeo Gopat and Baranga rivers, while in terms of catchment areas, rivers like Nior, Bijador, Banas, Rehan and numerous smaller rivers and rivulets are in this tiger reserve. Now in Chhattisgarh, there are other tiger reserves also. Udanti Sita Nidhi, then there is Achanakmar and there is Indravati Reserve. Three other reserves are also there in Chhattisgarh. So here is one question for you. Please write down and tell me in the comment section what are the various national parks and wildlife sanctuaries that are located in Assam. Please name all of them and tell me which state of India has the highest number of national parks. So this is regarding this article. Now moving on to next article of the day. Cuttack Hospital likely to be a one-stop center for sickle cell anemia treatment. The sickle cell anemia has been in news for years. This is a constant problem that India is facing, particularly in reference of tribal people and the communities. These are the communities that bear the brunt of this disease majorly and largely. So let's read something about it. Odisha, and even in states where these tribal communities reside, Odisha is the one state which has the prevalence of sickle cell disease, and around 90,000 individuals, to be specific 18,329 individuals have been diagnosed from around 47 lakh screenings. So there have been, first of all, there has to be screening of these patients. Screening leads to, some cases could turn negative, some cases could turn positive. The positive ones are diagnosed one, right? So out of around 47 lakhs or more than 47 lakhs screenings, we saw how many were diagnosed in Odisha itself? 89,329. The number is not so important as such. This is to give you the idea of the scale that this state has. This translates of all the screenings that we saw out of around 48 or more than 47 lakhs, this amounted to around conversion of or disease rate of 1.88%. Now this is significantly higher than national average. When you see the national average and the disease and the prevalence of the disease on the national scale, you will see at the national level we just have 0.38%. So this talks a lot about the Odisha and the occurrence of these tribes in Odisha, because Odisha holds a big population of these tribal communities, and particularly it has the highest particularly vulnerable tribal groups residing there. So in the Lok Sabha, there is this mission, National Sickle Cell Anemia Elimination Mission. It was launched in 2023. There are certain features of it. As we go ahead, we'll discuss that as well. So a total of around 4 crores 75 lakhs people, including around 1 crores 98 lakhs in the tribal dominated areas of 17 identified states have been screened. So to give you in short, to again repeat it, In 17 states, we have screened around 4 crores, more than 4 crores, 75 lakh people. Out of that, in the tribal region itself, 1,98,000, more than 1 crores 98 lakhs have occurred in these tribal dominated areas of 17 states. So this was the gist of this paragraph. Now skill training. Now this UNICEF team and the National Health Mission team, they jointly made a team and they went into this one of the hospitals located in Odisha. It was a government medical college noted by the name of SCB Medical College. They inspected the hematology department in that hospital, and they said that it could be a center of competence which would provide different sort of services including patient care, diagnosis, screenings, ICU facilities, dedicated wards and other things as well. This could be a one-stop center for sickle cell treatment, and it will be established at SCB Medical College Hospital. Like I said, it will serve as a center for comprehensive care under one roof. So remember this, that this is the agenda of this, to provide comprehensive care under one roof. Now, like I said, this was done by UNICEF team and a National Health Mission jointly. They visited this premises and they will develop this department as a center of competence and which is conducting treatment, study and research on blood diseases. Sickle cell anemia, to give you an idea, is a blood disease, but it is a heritable disease. It is a genetic disease which gets herited from one generation to another. Now to tell you more on the same aspect, first of all, it is inherited hemoglobin disorder. Hemoglobin again relates to blood, the presence of red blood cells. We have, there are three components of the blood: RBCs, we have WBCs, and then there is third segment or component. Please tell me in the comment section which is the third segment which constitutes the blood. And what kind of tissue is blood? Is it a nervous system related, or it is the connective tissue, or so please give me your answer in the comment section. Then red blood cells, what happens in sickle cell anemia? Generally people or regular people or normal people have red blood cells as circular in structure. But in when anybody's have a disease of sickle cell anemia, their red blood cells assume the shape of a sickle or a crescent shape like this, or this could be this. Any random, but probably more or less broadly in a shape of a crescent or sickle. That's why, and when they assume that shape, it becomes difficult for the blood or to overflow or make the constant regular flow of the blood. This could lead to various complications when that blood flow is probably disturbed. Ability to effectively throughout the body, RBC's ability to effectively regulate the body and perform its functions get hindered. Again, complications such as anemia, very one complication that directly relates to any disorder that we face and wherein our hemoglobin gets disturbed. That could also lead to organ damage. People facing from it could have a very shortened lifespan. Then there is recurrent and severe pain episodes also, and life becomes difficult for the people suffering from this disease. That's why it's a very important health concern, public health concern, specifically catering and dealing with tribal communities. Then about the National Sickle Cell Anemia Elimination Program. Like I said, it was undertaken and announced in Budget 2023-24. They have kept a target to eliminate this disease by 2047. So remember the year, they can ask you in your prelims, upcoming prelims. Then first of all, one of its aspect is awareness. You have to ensure that people know about it. Some of these tribal communities are not aware about this. If some of them are aware, they are not able to access the healthcare. They're not able, probably because of the connectivity, probably because of the sources, probably because of the lack of information. Then there is another aspect of it is a screening program. To diagnose them, to know what is the situation in an area, how many people suffer from disease, the first aspect is screening. So we have to ensure that screening takes place in all of these areas where majority of these patients are found. And the age is 0 to 40. So that has been kept in mind because majority of the patients and the people with this disease are in this age group. Then India's tribal belt, like I said, these are the areas where majorly this disease is prevalent. It could be Odisha, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, or Chhattisgarh. Remember these names? And vital medicines like hydroxyurea. Remember this one name? In the essential they have also added this medicine in the essential medical medicines list. What happens when any medicine gets into this list is this becomes affordable, this becomes available, accessibility, affordability of that increases, and it becomes easier for people to get it. So this is some of the features about National Sickle Cell Anemia Elimination Program. These are some of the statistics that talks about the progress so far. We have rightfully and successfully screened about 3.37 crore people, and out of them we have thankfully have around 3.32 crore negative sickle cell patients. But the where we have to keep attention is that sickle cell diseased were about 1.4 lakh, and there were traits in another 9.75 lakhs. Confirmation under the process, this criteria has around 3.59 lakhs. These statistics are particularly just to give you an information that so far where we are proceeding. These are not of much importance for your mains or prelims, but do remember these things: the age group, the year, the target that we have, this particular medicine, and what are these tribal belt and the states that are concerned and that afflicts which states are afflicted by this disease. So now moving on to the last article of the day, 60,000 ineligible beneficiaries in Kerala under PM Kisan Samman Nidhi shows data. So a few days back, we saw the similar news coming from Kerala where people and some government employees were ineligible for pensions, government pensions, but they were probably cornering it. This another issue highlights the larger issue of corruption that we have prevailing in the government sector itself. This talks about the ineligible beneficiaries under the central government scheme, central sector scheme, which is totally funded by the center, and the scheme is PM Kisan Samman Nidhi. So our attention should be about the particulars of this scheme, and for the mains, overall angle of corruption could be tackled, and this could become one of the examples to give the corruption prevailing at the government levels. Apart from it, for prelims, let's see what are the unique features of this PM Kisan Samman Nidhi scheme. Before that, we'll read some of the details within the articles. So over 60,000 ineligible persons were found, and including income tax payers. They were actually pocketing central government's scheme, which has a provision of funding or probably income support of rupees 6,000 per year within 3 installments, but this is for farmers. This is not for all farmers. This is just for small and marginal farmers. Definitely not for somebody with income tax pay brackets. So there is the problem. Next thing, the figure of ineligible beneficiaries since this scheme has started since 2022. The scheme started before that in 2019, but since 2022, instead of decreasing the number of ineligible beneficiaries in Kerala, this got increased. In fact, this got doubled. So this shows there is some structural issues and problems, and some monitoring is lacking. The center first directed the state, center in itself few years back directed to the state to screen the list and remove this kind of large number of disentitled ones from the scheme after ensuring refund. They also asked for the refund, but this refund segment has not seen huge success. Of course, there was some sort of refund was there. Then ineligible beneficiaries, they continue to benefit from the same scheme, and at the time you have to remember that this number of ineligible beneficiaries is increasing in a state where dependency on agriculture sector is lying just around 17-18%, whereas at the national level you would see it is around 57%. So it raises a question, when number of people are increasing, when it is not at the national level, why the ineligible beneficiaries are increasing? So this was as per NABARD data. Now this was the basic problem that why we took this article. Now about the provisions under PM Kisan scheme, which was launched in 2019. It is a central center scheme totally funded by the central government, and it is under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Another aspect is this funding or this income that they will give to small and marginal farmers will help these farmers before sowing their crops to get and procure various inputs that are essential to grow crops. And then, of course, they could, as a result, they could have their anticipated farm income at the end of each crop cycle, and the larger issue of farmers' debt cycle of debts and eventual saddened suicide is catered or probably is taken care of. So to probably address this aspect, to address this issue, this was taken, that was the aim. Now objective is eligible farmers. Like I said, when I say eligible farmers, they are small and marginal farmers. Who are small and marginal farmers? They are the farmers that have a land ownership of less than 2 hectares of land. Now funding of around rupees 6,000 is given over a year. This is done this is done over 3 installments. Every 4 months, one installment of rupees 2,000 is given with the help of DBT and directly transferred to the bank account of the farmers with the help of direct benefit transfer. And like I said, this caters to these small and marginal farmers. But in this case, you have to remember the central government cannot go to each state and identify these beneficiaries. So it has devolved this responsibility of identifying the actual beneficiaries or the needy farmers to these state and government. So if there is any case of ineligible beneficiaries, the burden has to be, the fault has to be borne by the state governments and the UT. So this was about PM Kisan scheme. So this was all for today. I hope this session was fruitful for your studies. Thank you and all the best.